like to make sure we have enough time to cover everything. But yeah, we'll explore a lot today.
Yes, we will.
Dr. Rob Kelly, welcome to Security Halt Podcast.
Thanks. Great to be here, guys.
Yeah, it's like we started talking a little bit. I almost committed the cardinal sin of starting to engage and talk without hitting that record button. Addiction now more than ever is something that our veteran community is struggling with. Our active duty community is also struggling with it. And my brotherhood and everybody that I am around with has either been touched and has dealt with it, or has identified that they might have a trouble with it. And it can come in the form of many things. These things, for one, can become very addictive.
Yeah.
But today, sir, I want to dive into this and let you guide us through this journey, and not only how you got into this field, but what are some of the things that you see and how we can identify it within ourselves? Because when we know the enemy, we're better, we're more prone to make the right decisions.
100%. I love that. Yeah. Um, so the thing about addiction and alcoholism is it creeps up on you really quick before you know. I didn't realize I had a problem until I'd lost everything. I was on the streets for 14 months. Then I realized,
man.
oh my God, I started crying one morning. It was like, oh my God, I can't stop drinking. Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, just the normal rules are, and we're going to freak people out today, by the way, Danny, is alcoholics are born and drug addicts are made. Now, when I say that, guys, I over 30 years experience with over 11,000 patients and millions of people with my TV and books and stuff, over $1.6 million in research. Everything I say today has been researched. I'm going to tell you stuff today that's going to blow your mind. Like, we're the leading authority. We have 5 offices around the world. I lecture at Harvard, Oxford, McLean Hospital, all that stuff. So I deal with a lot of A-list celebrities daily with these guys, because we don't take any shit off them. That's why they love us so much, I think. So it's being aware. So here's the number one thing. Is there addiction or alcoholism in the family? That's the number one, especially with alcoholics being born this way. If there is, then obviously you're on amber alert. You got to be careful. You got to tread carefully and stuff like that. But any behavior that changes drastically and stays in that cycle of self-sabotage and destruction is the biggest warning sign ever. Nobody's going to come and tell you this is what's going on, Rob. Because when I was suffering, nobody knew what I was going through. They just thought, alcohol, if you can just stop drinking alcohol, everything will be good, or taking drugs. Well, we found out that alcohol has 1% to do with alcoholism. And the same thing with every other addiction. That's not the problem. The problem is the way my mind and my brain. So alcoholics have 3 different parts of the brain that are different to any other addiction. Hence why we're and the other guys. Drug addiction and addictive personality. Both show the same. So the biggest reason, knowledge that we gain is when we studied the hypothalamus in the brain. So the hypothalamus from birth tells human beings to drink water, eat food to survive. That's it. It's the most basic instinct. We have to be alive. During the alcoholic's career, that's what mine was, the hypothalamus turns around and hijacks the brain and tells the alcoholic to drink alcohol to stay alive. Now, when the survival part of the brain is telling you that, then you do that. That's why wives, girlfriend, kids are all gone. They're in the background. I have to drink alcohol. When you're drinking one bottle, you're worrying where the next bottle's coming from. So it's stuff like that if you come from a drinking family, you've got to be aware, man. You've got to be aware of your own body, especially today, 2025. Everyone's taking better care of themselves. And now we know about neuroscience is the game changer. And quantum physics backs this up with our research. So yeah, that would be the answer, I think.
Yeah, it's one thing to hear about addiction. It's another to live it and see it unfold. Man, I had a front seat to seeing somebody that was. We tend to think that alcoholics can't be high performers, and I will tell you that is not the truth. I have seen some of our nation's greatest warfighters actively deal with this addiction and hide it. And I always thought, well, I mean, if they're drinking, if they have this compulsive drive to drink, surely they're going to fall apart when they don't have access to it. And I've seen guys have to go dry. And I've also seen guys move hell and high water to get alcohol when they needed it.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, that's the one. You know, we're driven for this. Most successful people have addictive personalities. So the drug addict thing. Most people that have been really, really good with their lives probably have alcoholic tendencies. They're the best people in the world. All my guys are ex-recovered alcoholics or drug addicts. But yeah, I was running $1 million business back in 1980s when I was at my height of drinking. You know, very high achievers. And once we get over that shit, once we get over the childhood trauma that's attached to that, and things are going today, not only does our DNA change, but we are capable of doing anything in the world, and I mean anything that you want to be. It's 100% possible. We do it every day here. We have a 98% success rate.
Wow.
Yeah, because human beings don't know. There's childhood trauma. People, oh, you can't do that, Rob. You can't write a book, Rob. You can't do it. Says who, man? Who's saying this shit? Because I don't like it. So, I mean, let's forget your political views for a second, guys. I'm not into politics. I don't give a shit who's in. But listen, when people say you can't do stuff, one of the biggest answers that Americans, when I first come here, used to tell me is, well, I can't be president of the United States. Let's forget your political views for a second. We had a freaking businessman running the country with no political experience whatsoever. How dare you tell me you can't achieve your dreams? It's just not true. Somebody's put that there.
Yeah. Yeah,
And that's
absolutely
what we do.
correct.
We build empires with people. People coming here that want to expand in life, in business, and all kinds of stuff. And we reprogram and we reset brains. And we have this 9D software, which is the dimensional subliminal message. It's amazing what we do here. And by the way, if you're in the local San Antonio area, we do not charge for veterans. So
Really?
no, I am now American. Okay, I gotta say this. I've been American for about 4 years, and I took that day very seriously. I went in a suit. I had an American bow tie, and I was so privileged to do that. However, during my 20 years of being in America, I'm disgusted how people and the government treat veterans. So from day one, I said no veteran is going to be paying here. Now, we had 10 veterans at one time and no patients. That went on for a year. They foreclosed on my apartment, and that's okay. But yeah, no, I give all my life to whatever they need. You got it from me. From any veteran that served our country, you deserve better, guys. And
Well, I got a foundation we got to plug you into. Proudly sponsored by the Special Forces Foundation. And like I said earlier, we don't know who's going to be dealing with addiction. This idea that high performers can't deal with this problem, can't be a victim of this, is absurd. I've seen it in every demographic, from the most successful CEOs to the lowest private in the formation. This can be part of anybody's life. We can fall victim to it. It doesn't have to just be genetic. I know I sought comfort through alcohol, and the single greatest thing I ever did was when I was at my worst, and I started leaning on it. That's when I knew I had a problem. I may not have stopped, but I knew that there was a problem. And I am glad, I am fortunate that I was able to walk away. I haven't drank since I made my decision to walk away from it. And I have been there for a lot of my friends as they have struggled. And I thought it was as simple as doing interventions to offer to peer support, but that's not enough. I've lost 3 friends now, all alcohol related, and or those 3 were alcohol related. And the thing that really baffles my mind is the one got to the point where he could hide it again, and he was saying and he was volunteer. He was coming on to our peer-to-peer support online, and he was putting on the mask and hiding it really well till he got another DUI. Let's talk about how you were able to identify how to treat it, how to be successful in this fight, because everything that we threw at it, the interventions, the going to the treatment center at the VA, it didn't work.
No, it's the understanding. Once you understand it's nothing to do with the substance, the alcohol, the drugs, that's a deep-rooted obsession with drug addicts and way of life with alcoholics. It's like, I truly believe, with all the experience I have, that if you haven't been through alcoholism, then you cannot treat an alcoholic, because we think different. And drug addicts, same with drugs, we think different. and our thinking is insane when it comes to stuff like most of you guys are insane anyway. We did some SAS back home. I
Yeah.
did 7 months studying on that. Uh, so yeah, the destruction is that we never feel good enough. We, especially with like special forces, because they're hid away. I know the SAS is hid away. Nobody wants to see them. You know, they can't tell everybody who they are, and they lose their identity. And once a human being loses their identity, and you cover their face, you know, insanity creeps in. So we need enough knowledge. Like we have enough knowledge here to cure addicts and retrieve alcoholism, because the more knowledge you know, the better it is. So we get people all the time coming, and most of them are heavy drinkers or abused alcohol drinkers, which are great because they're easy to cure. Alcoholism itself is a lot more in depth. If it's not about the alcohol, what's it about, kind of thing. So we can do the interventions, you know, we can do. But when somebody sits down in front of you and talks like you and explains exactly what you're going through, because I've been through it myself, the niche of no closes really quick. So maybe. So my what people call my travesty, my devastation days and stuff from the past, losing their children, homelessness, that is today my greatest asset, because these degrees around me don't mean nothing, absolutely nothing, when I'm sat in front of somebody who's suffering from this shit, that's got PTSD, that's ready to kill himself, and you know, all this horrible stuff. I can't sit in front of me like a therapist and go, okay, so how are you feeling today? You know, you've got to tell them how they're feeling. You've got to grab their attention. You've got to use all the tools that we have to pull them back in reality. And we've proven time and time again that it's the way forward. Like, old therapy doesn't work. Talk therapy with alcoholics and addicts and PTSD and depression, it doesn't work. There's much deeper rooted that we have to bring an idea out. We have to bring brain spotting out. We have to deep psychologically be planting subliminal messaging all the time, so that we reprogram that self-sabotaging brain. Because like I said, in your game, you've got to be, and I say this with a smile, half crazy anyway. So can you imagine being elite like you? Of course you can, but I'm just talking to the guys back home listening, being elite and then coming away. So it's like going on stage with some of the guys I work with. They come off stage and the deflation is heartbreaking. It's a real pain. So all of a sudden you're the heroes of the world. The next you're nothing. You sat on the streets and nobody gives a shit about you. Can you imagine the devastation of the isolation and the abandonment? We did some work on death row in Hunt over here, where they still put people to death, and we spoke to most of them, and the guys that would turn up on the day to get the needle or the chair was insane, and the reason that was insane because of the isolation, and the identity was taken away, so they were a number stuck in a cell on their own for 23 hours a day, and that's where we go insane. If you don't know that, you can't treat that. If you don't know the workings of a mind that you're treating, then you can't treat that. You know, we get it all the time. Yeah, I've been to school for like 10 years. I studied alcoholism. Did you? No. I know everything. You can't help me, man. You don't know. I wanted a therapist here so I could go every month and talk crap to. So we interviewed 3. The first one I went into, nice guy, diplomas, all this stuff. I said, are you an alcoholic? He said, no. But I've studied, da, 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 da. I said, you can't help me. And he stood up and went, no, please give me a chance. I said, okay, here's a scenario. You have a bottle of vodka behind your back. I want a drink. What do you think I'm going to do if you keep saying no? Well, you're going to argue with me. No, I'm going to take a knife out and stab you. Then I'm going to get my bottle and go, oh my God. Oh, did the same with the second one. Third one was an old lady, probably 70s, hippie. She had all the hair, you know. And I walked in, I said the same story. You know what she said to me? I'll stab you first. There's my girl. There's my girl. Because the mentality of the PTSD, the alcoholism, which is all kind of the same in subconscious brain, is thought patterns don't add up to any other person. You're crazy. Well, yeah, we are. But you can't take a normal person from the street, from a 9-to-5 job that wears a suit and sticking with you one day.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
In psychology, they talk about cultural competency a lot. They talk about making psychologists culturally sensitive and culturally competent. And there's a lot of focus on new generation individuals. I call them the purple hair gallery. And I'm sure, yes, absolutely. You got to know the people are coming in through your clinic. But if you don't understand what it's like, and truly from a lived experience position, because now I know, as although all of us were well-meaning in doing that first step of intervention and doing that first step of saying and identifying that you have a problem, we were all ill-equipped
Yeah.
to fight that battle
Yeah.
for several reasons, but primarily because they have to want and understand they need help, and B, they have to be given a resource,
Yeah.
a provider, somebody that knows the fight that they're in. I didn't know, and a lot of people don't know this. When somebody's a true 100% alcoholic, the process of detoxing is dangerous. You will literally die not
Oh, yeah.
having that substance.
Oh, yeah. You can actually die from coming off drugs. It sure feels like it, but with alcohol, yes. So I carry a bottle of vodka to this day in the back of my car in case I get called out. Because if you turn up at a house where he's drinking, you never not have alcohol in him till you get him to detox. You always have to be topping up the alcohol so he doesn't go into delirium tremors or heart shock or something. Yeah, it's so true. So true.
Yeah. And it's the one thing that always bothers me now is how deeply embedded it's in the culture.
Yeah.
How do we fight that?
I don't think you can. Listen, when COVID was here, when a liquor store is listed as essential business to be open, I think we
Yep.
have a problem, America. So, you know, my therapists weren't working, the doctors weren't working, but hey, let's make sure the liquor store stays open.
Now you talk about your own journey. Let's dive into that.
Yeah.
Let's dive in when you were going through this fight, because, like you said earlier, this is something that gives you an edge in the fight. You talk about know the enemy. It's just like us. Like where when we hit the ground running, you want special operations on the ground because they know the fight, they know the enemy, and that's why Dr. Rob, we want you in this fight. But tell us how you got to know this enemy intimately.
Well, I was when I would come homeless, I was angry on the streets because nobody could tell me what's wrong with me. You're an alcoholic, go to an A&E. Okay. It started at the age of 9. I was born into an alcoholic family. Mum was alcoholic, sisters, all that, her sisters. I took a drink at the age of 9 on stage with my musical family. I was playing bass guitar at the time. And I didn't know then, but I know now that sets off the time clock. Now, if you were to stop along that way, brilliant. Most people don't know. They carry on to the bitter end is where I was. So, as time went on, I would be drinking Saturday and Sunday when the band was playing, and then it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you go through college and you do all the stuff, and then all of a sudden you find you're drinking every day, but you're very successful. So I'm running this big business that gives us houses on the hills and new cars and best kids for the children's clothes. And, you're sat here going, oh my God, this is brilliant. And somebody's telling you drinking too much. And the answer is, you can't even look what I'm providing. I'm earning $250,000 a year in the 80s. You can't even look. I provide it. That was the cover up for me without me knowing. So my wealth masked my alcoholism devastation. The next thing you know, you're harming the loved ones. You're leaving kids in cinemas ages 1 and 3 and forget where the cinema was when you went back to get them. The police were there. I'm driving from London to Manchester with our 2 little babies in the back freaking seat, drinking an open bottle of vodka, doing about 150 down the freeway. These were normal things for me. I don't know what people were talking about, and you get into this false reality of world that nobody knows and you're hiding it really well. The good news is everybody knows. The bad news is you don't know. So the definition of insanity in this company is me not being able to see my own truth, because that's where the insanity starts if you don't know. So I'm drinking with college, fantastic, starts a business in the telecom industry. We used to put towers up for the Navy, the Army, the Air Force, and then we went into telecoms, obviously, when it came around. But yeah, soon enough, I got married, thought that would cure the drinking. No, I had my first baby. Oh, so listen to this, Danny. He has a first baby. I brings a Bible to the hospital. Baby was born, mum's hands into my arms, little girl, passed it back to mum, got the Bible out, put it on the bed, and the doctor was there, said, "Can I have you as a witness?" And I swore to my wife right there and then I'd never drink alcohol ever again now I'm a father. Everybody was happy. It was the worst 4 hours of my life. Because 4 hours later, I was in a bar drinking, and my wife was crying with this little baby, which is actually our second baby. Now when the youngest was born, I took 2 Bibles to the church, and I got 2 doctors and my 2 little girls, and I placed my hand on both Bibles, and I said, "As God's my witness, now I'll never touch alcohol again." I lasted about 2 days, and I drank again. So the devastation of that and the PTSD that my wife went through. So after the stabbing, I fled to Spain because there was an attempted murder charge out on me. 3, 4, 5 months in Spain, all charges were dropped. I came home. I got home to their house. They knew what time I was going to be there. They paid for the plane. They cut all my cards off and everything, all my credit cards. I got home. When I got home, my wife was there with the children, and she left, and she took my little babies with her. And one, 3, 2, and 4. I can't remember. So I got into my attorney. I said, "Make sure you get my kids back tomorrow. Get into court tomorrow. Get whatever you need to do." And he did. The next morning, he shows up. Now, I give him a big check. I walked him into the living room. The wife was calling on, the house phone every minute. "You can't do this. You can't do this." Sat him in front of the TV. I walked into the kitchen. Now I'm 3 days sober here, Denny. Okay, this is it. I'm going to be that father. Look at me. You can't do this to me. This is, you don't know who I am, kind of thing. I walked into the kitchen, and the thought passed through my brain that wouldn't it be great to have one beer to celebrate getting the kids back. 2 days later, when the police kicked the door down, the place was strewn in empty vodka bottles. The children had been fed or changed diapers for 2 days. I nearly killed them kids. The police woke me up. They served me with unfit father papers, and they took my little babies away. She was there, mother-in-law, child services, child protection, which is a different thing. The police were there. And I was stood at the doorway, and I felt the worst person in the world. And my daughter, who's holding on to mummy's hand down the pathway, she said, "Daddy, Daddy, please don't go." And as she got down the paths, she turned around and said, "Daddy, Daddy, please get better." As they got to the big iron gate, Mum opened the gate and she turned around one more time. And she said, "Daddy, Daddy, please stop drinking." I couldn't do it, Denny. I couldn't do it for her. I couldn't do it for anybody. 1 or 2 months, I don't know, I was in a blackout most of the time. I'd gone to my mom, she'd throw me out, gone to friends, they'd throw me out, gone to acquaintances, they'd throw me out, and I was on the streets. And that's how quick it happened. And I cried every birthday, every Christmas, every day. We went to an attorney, and my dad said, "If you're any kind of man that I've raised, you'll sign everything over for your kids." And that's what I did. I walked out of that attorney's office with about £20 in my pocket, straight back on the streets. And that's where it kind of got worse for me. That wasn't the worst ever, but yeah, it was pretty bad. And I stayed there for 14 months. Now, the crazy part, and you might identify with this, Denny, being in that situation, I was a fighter growing up, martial arts, boxing, I was a bodybuilder, so I was big and strong. After about a month or so, I quite liked it on the streets. I had no responsibilities. I could hurt people real quick. I'm 6 foot tall, probably, I don't know, 230, 240 back then. And I used to hurt people, knock people out, coming out of nightclubs, steal the wallet for alcohol, all that bad stuff, hurting people real bad, man. The thing is, was on the streets, I had some friends with me, and the thing was, if I could knock somebody out in one punch, that was the thing to do. And yeah, it was 14 months of that. And I got real comfortable on the streets. So, yeah, that was kind of my life. I wanted to die on the streets. And 2 times I did. They brought me back to life, and I hated them EMT guys for that, EMS, what they're called, ambulance guys. I hated them for that. I didn't want to live, man, and I couldn't die. I tried tying myself to the train track, jumping off buildings, and all sorts of crazy stuff, and it looks like I couldn't kill myself. It was insane.
When did things finally turn around? When we explore this journey, man, like it's just, you think, and it's, I mean, I've talked to so many people where when you think it's rock bottom, it's one more. And then when you think it's rock bottom, it's just one more. And eventually it's like, what was the ultimate bottom for you that just made you say, or somebody or something intervened?
It was a Sunday night, Monday morning, around 2 o'clock. I'm coming out of a blackout, so I'm in where the offices and factories are. There's not a human being, a house, an apartment, nothing like that. And I dropped down to my hands and knees and I started crying like a baby. Now, I wasn't crying because my wife and kids had gone home on money. I wasn't crying because of that. I was crying because the first time in my life I realized I couldn't stop drinking. It was pouring down. I remember looking up to the sky as an atheist, saying, if there's a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. The next 30 seconds, Denny, a guy, I wouldn't tell a story for 15 years. A guy walked around the corner. His name was Derek. He'd been to a Bible study. He'd missed his last bus home and he's walked for an hour. He took a shortcut he's never taken before and he came across me. And he said, you need help? I said, yeah, I'm dying. I'm an alcoholic. He was a recovering alcoholic. He was a Christian guy. He took me back to his house. I fed, changed, showered for the first time in a year. And it was beautiful. And he said, Rob, you can stay for as long as you like, man, but you've got to go to these meetings with me. I said, Derek, I hate these meetings, man. He said, Rob, I can't be drinking in the house, man. So next day we went to one of these meetings and sure enough, same old bullshit in there. You know, I'm an alcoholic and I'm sad. I can't stand it. I drink 4 bottles of usual stuff. And all of a sudden, this guy piped up. My name's John. I'm a recovered alcoholic. And I remember looking at Derek and going, what did he just say? Derek said, he said he's recovered. I'm like pissed now because I've gone through all the stuff and you can recover from this bullshit, you know? So after the meeting, I walked over and said, hey, John, my name's Rob. Will you sponsor me? And he said, no. And my heart was like, but I will be your spiritual advisor for 12 weeks. I'm like, what? Every Wednesday, come to my house. Bring this and come to my house. So I left Derek's at 6 o'clock. I walked there. I got there for 7, couldn't knock on the door. Until 1 minute, I used to get up there, 7, I could knock on the door, and at 1 minute to 8, no matter what we do, and he walked me out. That's a really important thing to remember, guys, just for this. 12 weeks, man, I was there. Every Wednesday, did the bit, went home. Wednesday, I was getting better and better and better. He told me all sorts of cool, you're going to go to America, you know, blah, 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 you're going to heal people, and all this crazy stuff. And then the last night there, he said to me, you're going to change the world, Rob, and things are going to change from tomorrow. And I said, John, bless you, man. Thank you for everything you do. But I'm in Derek's basement on a block mattress. Nobody knows I'm there. So I'm like, my life can't change, you know. And he smiled and patted me on and off I went. And the next day I get so I'm cleaning the house because that's my job now. Derek comes home at 12 o'clock, lunchtime. He said, Rob, the guy that sweeps the factory floors just jacked it all in. Do you want a part-time job? I said, oh, my God, yes. So I went back to work with him, turned it into a full-time job that week. And then not thinking of John at all. Then we get our first paycheck, which was cash stapled to an envelope back in the day. And I got the cash, man. I'm like, oh, my God. And I remember John. I said, shit. So I went to the gas station. I bought me a little teddy bear, probably this big, and a card. And I wrote on the card, thank you, John, for introducing me to God because he took the compulsive drink away. And I was back onto his house, man. I couldn't wait to get there. Working with people that were getting well. You know, I was working full time and got to his apartment, went up and I knocked on the door and there was no answer, man. And I looked at the curtains, the neck curtains, and it looked a bit dirtier. And the woman on the right hand came out and she said, can I help you? I said, yeah, where's John? Is he like relocated or something? Has he moved? He said, John, who? I said, John, your neighbor. She went, oh, I've only been here 3 months. I work nights. I've never seen him. Oh, no problems. Went around to the left hand, knocked on the door. Big guy comes to the door. What do you want? So where's John moved to? John who? I said, your neighbor, John. Where's he moved to? He was here. And he went on to tell me that apartment was derelict, okay? And he used to have tape across the door. And if I was to open the door, I'd drop down 3 flights and probably kill myself. I think this guy's insane. So I go back to the meeting where I'd met John 3-4 months earlier. And I went in, the chairman went, Rob. I'm like, thank God for that. You recognize me. I'm thinking I'm going crazy. He said, Rob, it's good to see you, man. I said, thank God for that. Just John still come here. And he said, John who? And I said, the guy that I was drinking coffee with over near the coffee machine. He said, God bless you, Rob. We thought you were praying. You were speaking to yourself. We've never found that man. But it's one of the reasons why I have a 98% success rate, because it's not this. It's my past and what John taught me. Now, when you have an awakening like that, you know you're meant for better things. And he'd tell me stuff that was going to happen in the future, and it all come true. It's all come true, Danny. And I would never tell that story for 15 years in case people thought it was insane. But when I started to share it, the amount of people, oh my God, I had a similar thing. It's like entrepreneurs, rich people, Pope. Oh my God, I had something like that. And I thought, wow, that had to be an angel. And that's what most of my life since then has been based on. I don't
Absolutely.
believe that it was here. God's given me this thing to do. He's put me in charge of this. You're going to do this. And there's a few times, Daddy, that I've the ego's crept in when you're driving a new car, or they fly me on private planes. And I was doing a TV show once, and I came off, and they had a chauffeur for me, kindly enough, to take me back to the hotel, to take me to the airport. And I come off the stage, and I said to my wife, "Where the hell's my chauffeur?" Oh, she's a quiet girl, man, a southern girl, but she slapped me and said, "If I ever hear you say that again, this marriage is over." So it's stuff like that keeps me grounded, But it's a crazy journey so far, and I'm loving it. I'm still loving it every day, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to touch on something that, I think is very important in any journey, whether it's your mental health journey, whether it's you're trying something that seems impossible, like going to selection and achieving, whether, becoming a Green Beret, Navy SEAL, Ranger, whatever, it's the faith component. And a lot of people have a hard time accepting the program, the 12-step program, because of that faith component.
Yeah.
But it's powerful. It's absolutely needed when you are at your absolute worst, when you're at the very rock bottom. You have to explore faith. You have to. In your journey, how does faith show up to you now?
Oh, I don't go to church. I do not read the Bible. Don't believe in any of that crap. I do have God. It's the same God in the Bible, but it's my spiritual journey, man. I've never seen a real alcoholic sober. Haven't done it. They're usually all dead because they refuse to believe. There's 3,000 gods. Freaking pick one. You're living in the gutter. Well, I'm not believing in God. Good for you. Go die. Go drink. I'm not interested in you. It's very, very important, because here's what happens, guys. The mind sits inside the brain. Hence that mind over matter. So this guy mind can program, okay? It's energy. You can't see it. Once we change the neural pathways, okay, work on the childhood trauma. Once we connect with a spiritual power outside you, your DNA changes. Why is that important? I'm not the same man as when I met John. My DNA changed. So the spiritual side of it is 100%. If you don't do, for me and thousands and millions of people that I've been in front of, all have the same thing. We have a spiritual path that we follow. Do you go to church? No. See, I'm a big believer, for me, that I don't have to go to a building at 10 a.m. on a Sunday so God can hear me. He can hear me right now. He's sat right here. He guides me, protects me. We used to go into houses back in Dallas and retrieve daughters and sons in a crack addict den. We hired special forces that were armed to go in, but I was the first one in that door. I never got harmed. So God's going to protect and harm you wherever you go, as long as you're stood in the sunlight of the Spirit. As long as you go, I always explain it like this. So if you're at home, Texas, choose the Cowboys you watch. Channel 4, you put on the Cowboys. And there you're there. You're in the screen, you're shouting at the ref, you're jumping. It's like your brain knows you're there in the stadium. Then your 5-year-old son gets on remote control and starts flicking through all the other channels. And now you're aware there's 3,000 channels. Channel 4. That's all you've got to be interested in until you achieve that goal and move on. And stay connected stand in the sunlight of the Spirit, man, and everything becomes possible. Now, oh my God, my life's changed overnight, Rob. My God, I got this offer from a job. It was already there. It's probably happened 1,000 times to you, but you were blind to it. You put these things on what other people thought of you. Your weight does not define you. Your teeth, your hair, it does not define you. What defines you is now, what you do today. Now, my past became my greatest asset going forward. So I don't sit down with somebody and go, hey, you know something? I went to Oxford University for like 6 years, and then I start. It's going to do. Hey, listen, buddy, I know exactly where you are because I've done it. Yeah, but Dr. Rob, what do you know? You've never been check. You want to carry on this game? Because he's prepared me for everything coming my way. And I've stood there like a monument, a statue, and I never bow down before no man. And I never crawl for anything because I've got his power behind me. And it's amazing how I see that when people come, you know, and you get your atheist there, you know, and that's fine. It's not my business what you believe or anything. With my journey, with the people around me and the patients I've treated, if it's not there, you're not going to make it.
It's absolutely true. It has to be part of the journey, and everybody has to come to it. And that's a difficult part, though. We can't force somebody to come to that realization. How do you approach that? And how has that changed and evolved over time with your skill set? Like, how are you able to meet somebody at their worst and get them to understand that they're holding the key to their own prison?
Yeah. Damn, I love that, Danny. I tell a story. That was a true story. I'm coming back from England. We get on the plane, me and my buddy. We've done a visit to England or something. And it's stormy. It's raining. They almost cancelled the flight, but off we went. And we're climbing through this rain and the lightning. And, you know, everyone's like, oh, this is not good. This is not good. And we get to a height and we're still, it's, you know, there's a little bit of turbulence. And then for whatever reason, the plane dropped. Now, it probably dropped to get away from the storm. But nobody said anything. The pilot didn't come up. And everybody grabbed the arm. And this was like... And my buddy leant over to me and he said, hey, Rob, bet there's not many atheists on this plane right now. When it gets bad enough, you'll believe. And that's what... We don't... If you've not been to treatment before, go and use your insurance contract treatment first. Or can I not come to you? Yeah, we'd rather you not. Because by the time you get here, everyone's tried. You're the worst of the worst, and now you're ready to believe that this journey is part of what we're going to do, man. Whether you believe it or not is de minimis right now. There's 3,000 gods. Pick one. I don't care what you do. It cannot be a switch. It cannot be a tree. It cannot be a group. You know, it has to be something that's powerful outside us that our mind can connect with. And I want you going to church, and with the voice you get, I don't want you reading the Bible. I don't read the Bible. They start to look at you and go, wow, look what you've accomplished you have a spiritual journey. So talking to them on that level. So when somebody comes in, they call me the Gordon Ramsay of the addiction world because I curse like crazy. And the reason why I do it is to shock the brain. So if somebody comes, I've told people to come out from the room. I do everything to make sure I grab their attention. And when you do, I think one brain connects with another because you have similar, the mirroring part of the brain, and you believe because they believe because I believe. And all of a sudden, they start to see the miracles that happen when you follow this path. And most of, I'll have to go around, go to church, wear a suit. What? None of that. It's nobody else's business that you're a spiritual guy. Nobody else's business. They may ask when they see the miracles happening in your life, because they will. We've never let a guy or girl go now that hasn't achieved the dreams that we all discussed when they came on board. But it's really important. I mean, go test it. Go try and be an atheist for a day or two or a week or a month or whatever. It works out for you, fantastic. But when you're suffering, you can't do this on your own without that spiritual. So again, it's the being able to speak on any level. Like I've worked with CEOs of multi-billion-dollar banks. I've worked with guys who sweep the road. I've worked with rock stars, movie stars. I've worked with people off TV, and it's all the same. Once you start talking this addiction, we're all the same. It does not discriminate. And the way out is A, B, and C. So here's the deal when they come in. This is what we're going to do. We're leaving a spiritual journey. You've got to do that. You agree? Well, I'm not too sure. Well, you can't come. Bye. The parents coming. Dr. Rob, I've got a check. You can write in. No, can't do it. There are three components that I need to work with. You've got to be ready. And I know if you're ready now, I'll offer you alcohol and drugs in my office one more time before I tell mom and dad. If you agree to that, you go. You can't come on board. You've got to have the spiritual journey on board. Things start to happen every single day. I'll start to get better and better and better. And I'm in the position now, Denny, I don't take any shit of anybody. Like, some of the big guys. Well, I've just paid you $100,000 a month to come in. I don't give a shit. You think I care if you come on board or not? You think I give a shit about? I don't give a shit about that. So either get back on your fucking plane, go home, or you're coming on board. I don't care which one it is. And when they hear that, they go, "Holy shit!" Because most people, when they get into the addiction, whether surrounded by yes men or surrounded by people who you don't exist. You're a Mr. Nobody. People stepping over you in the streets like they did with me, throwing diapers at you, and because you're unconscious, you don't know. It's like enough of them days. It's time to stand up now. And if you want to believe in the elf who replaced our teeth, the teeth fairy, I'm going to believe in it because it's going to get me to the place you are talking to me about. I can see the stuff you've been through. And if this works for you, then God, it's got to work for me. And that's how we get through that deal.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. We have to understand that individuals need to come to that point where they're ready to go. They're ready, and that's what sucks too, though.
It does.
You can want it so bad for somebody, but until they get to their absolute rock bottom, and they have to understand it's their rock bottom. That's a part that sucks for family members, for friends. But the one thing I tell people is stop enabling.
Yeah.
Stop taking your friends out to bars.
Yeah.
If you just even think your friend might have a drinking problem, why are you incorporating a get together that involves drinking?
That's when your true friends are around you. If you've got more than two or three people in your end circle, you've probably got two or three more than you should have. You should have one really good person around you that's got you back 24 hours a day. A couple more if you've grown up with them, like you and your guys. But yeah, it's the understanding of what people are going through is very important. So we have a saying, and I'm sure it's out there: is "Show me your friends, I'll show you your future." If you have friends that are taking you around the bars and don't really care about your disease, but you can fully recover, don't remember that, guys. Then he's not your guy, man. It's not your guy.
Absolutely.
If he's drinking every day, you go around to the apartment or drinking wine. In the early days, this is. I mean, I don't give a shit who drinks wine. I pour my wife's wine sometimes. It doesn't bother me. The compulsion's been taken away. But in the early days, they're not your guys. Find people who are just like you, big for what you've been through. If they have a business going, hang around them. If you want to start your own business, if they're on 80 grand, you're on 20 grand, hang around them guys. The more people we hang around want to be, the more you become. Hang around 9 depressed people, you will become the 10th. Well, how do we know this? Well, we did our own experiment as usual. We got 9 actors in the waiting room right here, San Antonio, and one patient who we said, come in, we're going to give you a free session on this 9D. It's amazing. We got the 9 actors in. They were told to all take places, don't know each other, as if they were patients. But when a buzzer sounds, you need to stand up, count to 5, and all sit down again. That's all you got to do. One by one, we'll call you in. And the woman walked in, the place was set. 9 people stood up. She's on her phone. She looks up quick, she's back down again. 45 seconds. They all stand up again. So phone goes down and she's looking around. They all sit down again. Third buzzer. 3 minutes. Third buzzer. She stood up with everybody else. Didn't know why, because they were doing it. She was going to fit in. Everyone wants to fit in, and sat down. So that was interesting. As we call these actors in one by one, as if they were patients, she was left on her own. She stood up. So if you can imagine, if you hang around them people without you knowing, subconsciously, you're going to get their look at life. You're going to do what they do without even knowing. Even if you hang around with somebody that has a stupid saying that you can't stand. Shut up, was one of my friends. I'm like, why do you say that? It's stupid. 2 months later, shut up. Oh my God, I've got to be careful about that. Because everything's in patterns, everything's in vibration, you've got to sit in that pattern that you want to sit in. If you want to sit at the table, and they won't let you build your own table and have your guys around that, like guys you've served with, guys that don't matter what's going on, got your back 24 hours a day. It's them guys you need to hang around. So you need to pull away from the old people. I can always go back to Manchester and I can help people that are suffering. I just can't live there anymore. And that's the difference.
That's true. Environment. We got to make sure we're in the right environment that allows us to thrive. I don't put myself in situations where I know it's going to be nothing but drinking and that bar mentality, especially with individuals that haven't gone through their journey of healing, because For some reason, as men, we tend to think that the only time we can express our emotions is if we're drinking. And I know for a vast majority of guys, whether it's a funeral, a event to honor a fallen member, like I know for a fact, the moment that everybody gets together and the alcohol starts pouring, anger, sadness, debate, all that stuff surfaces back up. And it makes it easier to drink more because then you can express yourself. So it's either going to be guys fighting at each other, yelling at each other, and then, eventually sharing and divulging the truth. They miss the brotherhood, they miss friends, they're so sad individuals are gone. So it's like you remove yourself from the environments. I mean, go before it turns to 6 p.m. drink fest.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine though how much pain them guys are in if
Oh
it's
yeah,
alcohol to bring it out of them? Now most of it is stuck in the subconscious mind. They don't know about it. But the pain, we studied this as well with, gangs of people going out and drinking and all become mushy at the end of the night and I love you and all that.
yep, yep,
They're things that men are not supposed to share with another man. So we stuff all them things down. And 9 out of 10 times, the enmeshment from parents, like grandfather never told dad that he was awesome and he loved him and stuff like that. So we're not validated or approved as a child. So we're never going to sit. Imagine me back at the day. I used to do the door in between college. Sat on his lap, huge. I was huge, standing next to the other bodybuilders. If I'd go, hey Jimmy, can I speak to you about, I've got a little thing going. I was crying before in the house. Can you imagine that? Are you kidding me, Rob? Shut up. We don't talk about stuff like that. We grew up with a bunch of people that were never supposed to feel anything, a
yeah,
stiff upper lip, they called it in England. We never cry at anything. It's not good for us.
yeah. And of course, now we know that that's not the right way to go about things. We finally understand the importance of going through and talking and getting things out, but it's still deeply rooted in that American male culture of you just drink about it. I just
Yeah.
go have a drink. That's why ultimately I always urge people take some time for yourself. Sit down and truly explore when you had your first drink. What led you to have your first drink? What keeps you drinking? What makes it socially acceptable for you to sit down? I knew that I had, and I don't really deal with it anymore, but social anxiety was a big reason why I drank in excess when I was out with friends. I didn't like to be around big crowded areas. I didn't want to be around, feel like people are staring at me. So I drank a lot. When I went out and I was with my friends, I was usually the first one to slam 4 or 5 drinks as fast as I could so I could feel at ease. And I was just thinking, oh, I'm just relaxing. And then ultimately through that exploration and then exploring how I used it to deal with my own issues, I realized like, no, this is highly addictive. I was using it to try to cope and deal and tell myself I needed to fall asleep. None of these things are actually true. All of it was deeply rooted in other issues that I had to go talk to somebody and had to get help for. And once I got over those things, I realized I didn't really have a place for alcohol in my life because if I'm telling myself that I want to wake up, I want to be better physically. I want to perform better. I want to be an athlete. I want to run. I want to do endurance events. How does alcohol fit into all of that? How does alcohol fit in my life? Well, easily. It doesn't.
Awesome.
It
Yeah.
it doesn't help me in any way. It doesn't improve. The old myth that we all grew up with was a little bit of red wine is really good for you. Now we know that myth has been busted.
Yeah.
There's no need for it. There's no positive effect for it. So if there's no positive effect for it, then I'm not going to put it in my life. And I think more people are starting to do that, but there's still such a big fight and to keep it in
Mm.
our lives. And like you said earlier, like COVID was a great reminder,
Yeah.
like all the things that they were championing to stay open weren't the best things for us.
And then we looked at the stats around San Antonio, and alcohol consumption went up by 19%. Divorces
Yeah.
went up by 3%. And you can just rattle all this stuff up that went on. It's like alcohol's a depressant. When you're going to drink it in excess, what makes you think you're going to be happy?
Yeah.
Because you're really not. And now we know today that any poison we put into our body with the food that we eat and the alcohol and stuff. It's just killing us, man. It's aging you and killing you. Not
Absolutely.
really need it, you know.
Absolutely. We think about the way that science has advanced and the way that we treat so many different things. How have you advanced in your protocols, in your treatment of alcoholics? Because there are so many new things. You mentioned brain spotting. Like, what are some new tools that you're bringing to the fight?
The biggest one that we found is about 6 months ago. I came across this software called 9D. It's 9 dimensional. So we created our own company around it, the breathbox.studio, the website. It's you put the headphones on, you put the mask, you lie down and you chill out. There's 52 programs taking you through breath work and, all these stuff going on. You've got like a leading voice, and then you've got music as well and stuff like that. But what you don't hear is the 9 subliminal messages that you're getting every couple of minutes. So that sends us straight into the subconscious, which then comes into fruition and becomes action and belief. It's the biggest tool I've ever seen. It kind of puts EMDR a million miles away. It's like EMDR
Really?
on steroids. Oh, I tell you, everybody's took this is the action that people get. What the was that? We go, right? And they go, oh my God, I feel absolutely amazing. And we say, no, you don't. You feel normal. This is the way human beings are supposed to feel. And we've had about 500 people. We've only had it for about 5 months through there. And from housewives to grandmas, we've just started treating Alzheimer's and dementia with this tool. It's all the same. Oh my God. So we brought that in. We brought brain spotting, which is it's like a wand that you use, like a pointer, and it's eye fluttering, and you can pull stuff out the subconscious mind. We use that, and subliminal messaging and behavior. Wow. So when somebody comes up to the office, first time in, he's going to come in, he's going to be anxious, probably dressed nice, it's going to be hard to get into it. We need to take him from, oh my God, this is my first appointment, to, God, these guys are like family, it's awesome. And we've got to do it in minutes. So let's say he's a Dallas Cowboys fan. He parks the car, even if you have to put cones out, he parks the car in the place we want him to park the car. We may put cones out or whatever. He parks the car. In the hedge, there's a Dallas Cowboy cup or drink or whatever with the label of Dallas Cowboys. He doesn't see it, but subliminally he sees it. Then he walks up to our office, and he presses the buzzer, it's all secure, we open it. The first girl he sees is an assistant that's got a Dallas Cowboys t-shirt on or hat. When he sits down in the waiting room, Dallas Cowboys are playing on the TV. When he gets into the office to see me, all them things have gone. There's so many things we have in common. Before he sits into my room, he sits down and I've got Dallas Cowboy scarf on it. Now, all that stuff has dropped away because familiarity is what we're looking for. So we bring 6 months of the therapy right down to 6 minutes. So now we can approach it. Now we can start putting stuff in his mind because he's relaxed and he's feels at home because of all this stuff that we've done. So there's a lot of that stuff going on behind the scenes that you don't know. And building people up is big, man. I mean, we don't compliment people anymore. Like, I have officers in Dallas. One day, this guy comes in, he's suicidal. The police have brought him. He comes in, he spends an hour with me. Now, there's a new nurse there and one that's been with us for about 4 years. He comes out, he's smiling, he's high-fiving the nurses, and off he goes. The young nurse said, oh, my God, did you see what Dr. Rob just did? And the other nurse said, I know, right? He's absolutely amazing. And the other nurse says, I know. Have you told him that? Oh, no. He already knows. Nobody knows. Now that guy, nobody knows. Stop thinking we already know. We don't. We need to be validated. And I don't mean in a needy way. We need to be validated. We need to be approved. We need to be, great kind of boy. That's amazing. I do it all the time, at least 100 times a day, because it changes people right there and then. We don't validate people today. I will bless the toilet cleaner at the airport. He's got his head down. Hey, buddy, there's $20. I want to buy a sandwich. He's like, what? Oh, my God. I've made his day. It doesn't cost a lot to make people's day and change attitudes. And if someone's listening, well, that's just not true. Next time you're in a built-up area of people, watch for somebody with nice sneakers walking towards you. And I want you to say 2 words, nice sneakers, nice sneakers. He's going to go, oh, thank you, man. Turn around and watch him walk away. He's going to look down at his sneakers at least 2 or 3 times. You've changed his freaking world right there and then. But guess what? When he goes home to the wife or girlfriend, because he's in a good mood, now she's in a good mood. And the mother, and you get it, man. Everybody's changed with 2 freaking words, man. 2 words. That's all you got to do. It's amazing how we can change and save lives every single day. There's a story of a guy, I always tell it when I'm doing my seminars, goes to the Golden Gate Bridge, throws himself off, commits suicide. The police pull him out of the water. They find identity. They go back to his apartment looking for next of kin. What they find on the table, true story, is very interesting. They find a note that says, I'm going to walk to the Golden Gate Bridge, throw myself up and commit suicide. Unless on the way there, somebody smiles at me, nods at me, says good, and it's an hour's walk, says good morning to me. In that case, I'll stop right then. I'll turn around and I'll try again tomorrow. Question. How many people have you walked past today who's heading to the Golden Gate Bridge? See, we just never know. The depression, the PTSD, the loneliness, the isolation, the abandonment, when you could just say something that's going to change their lives, man. And you get paid back for that shit. You really do. I've seen it so many times with people who work, and me. It's just, this is how we should be living life. Get off your fucking phones, guys.
Yeah.
Get off your phone. Get out your iPads. Look at the real world.
You never know. You never know what somebody's fighting and going through.
Exactly. Because I know something that's true is everybody goes through something. When I see somebody I think struggling and we sat down or sit down to them, I ask them one question. What are you going through that nobody else knows about? The stuff you're going through that keeps you up at night. I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people have said that to. Not one person has ever said, oh, nothing, I'm fine. Never. Because when you hit them right there, it's how are you doing today? Nobody asked me that. How are you doing today, Rob? Wow, I have to stop and think about that.
Yeah.
We can change lives.
Absolutely. And I can't thank you enough for being here today, Doc. It is so important to talk about this subject. And I already want to bring you back on because I feel like we have to have this talk with addiction at least once or twice a month, because still to this day, people have a hard time accepting that this is a problem that is actually co-occurring and actually amplifying the suicide rate. We have built a culture of drinking amongst our military, amongst our elite warriors, and people still want to say it's not that bad. Yeah. People are just going through anxiety and depression. Let me tell you, it is deeply rooted in suicide. If you could do one thing today, if you could just do one thing, list out all the reasons why you drink. And if it's overwhelming positive for you, good, awesome. But if it's not, walk away from it. I urge you, walk away from it, because it may save your life. Because when I was dealing with my mental health issues, the number one thing I kept reaching for was that bottle of fucking Jameson. Yeah. And I'm telling you, maybe you don't have an issue, but be willing to be a sensor. Be willing to look at your friends. And if you identify at least one of your friends that may be drinking too much, have the courage to be there for them and refer them to someone like Dr. Rob Kelly. Dr. Rob, where can people reach you and where can they go to find out more information about your clinic?
So if you're listening, guys, not watching, I spell my name with 2 B's. So it's ROBBKELLY.com. Jump on there. We're on all social medias. Put Dr. Rob Kelly in any search engine, up I'll pop. If you are looking, I don't run this company. It's called breathbox.studio is the website, especially veterans. If you're looking for 30 minutes that are going to change your life, I mean, literally change your life, give us a call, man. Just jump on the website, book yourself a session. First session is only $35, I think. If you've gone through the stuff what you've gone through, Denny, the guys that are out there mattering, I'm going to charge you shit, man. I'm telling you that now. But yeah, come and have fun. There's a book out there. Remember the thing I told you about my last thing my daughter said to me, Daddy, yeah. Stop drinking. So we'd finished the book about 4 years ago. We didn't have a title. In the middle of the night, my eldest daughter texted me after 30 years. I said, hey, Dad. She called me Dad, Danny. Wow. I was like, woke my wife up. He said, I want to see you. I've seen you on TV here, but I don't believe what mom told me all these years. So we have people around us, as you can imagine. So within 4 hours, we're on a plane heading back. We get there. Next morning, we go around. I'm so scared, Danny. I'm so scared. All the bad shit coming. I'm crying. I'm scared, man. I couldn't even knock on the door, but she opened it. She must have been looking for us. We fell into each other's arms. We cried. We laughed. She took me by my hand. She walked me into her living room and she handed me my 3-month-old granddaughter. That girl is my lead therapist. And I said to her, we wrote a book. And she said, what about the last thing I said to you, Dad? And I said, I can't remember what I said. Daddy, please stop drinking. Let's give 10 copies away. So if you mention myself or Denny or the show, I'll just come find me, come message me or whatever. I'll sign it personally for you. I'll pay for the shipping and everything on one condition, that you give this away to somebody else when you finish with it.
Absolutely. And if you pause right now, go to episode description or just look right here. Hit me up, slide in the DMs. If you'd like a copy, let's make it happen. We'll get, just say 10, we'll get 10 copies. Let's give them away. Once this episode airs, I will promote this everywhere because you may not deal with alcohol addiction. You may not be dealing with it, but I'm telling you, somebody close to you, especially in the military, probably does. And I guarantee you, maybe my challenge to question why you drink won't touch you. But when you hear an emotional story like the one Rob just shared, it may be the final thing that will get somebody to question how much they're drinking. I'm telling you, there's no greater fight to get involved in. Drugs, alcohol, they're directly leading to our suicide epidemic. So please, please join me and the Special Forces Foundation. Get in the fight. Help us end this suicide epidemic. And I'm telling you guys, get involved. Wherever you can, however you can, get involved. Reach out to your friends. Get a hold of Dr. Rob Kelly and let him know that if you have a friend that's in need, and figure out how you can get him there. Again, Dr. Kelly, thank you so much for being here. And to everybody listening, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time. Till then, take care.